Hi, this is Misquoted. Welcome to my second part on physical therapy. So, in this section, we're going to start talking about managing your expectations around physical therapy. We're going to start with the process of physical therapy. When I started physical therapy, I was in a really, really bad spinal situation. My back was just a hot mess. I had pinched nerves, scoliosis, retrolithesis, misaligned cervical neck vertebrae. My clavicle, which is your collarbone, was higher and protruding more forward on one side. I looked more like a zipper than having a rib cage. The ribs on my right side did not align with the ribs on my left side. So, 5 years into physical therapy, I still have scoliosis and retrolithesis, but my other issues have greatly improved. And when starting this journey of physical therapy, you need to understand that the first 6 weeks is breaking down bad habits. This is breaking down bad musculature, bad posture, and forming new habits and strengthening new muscles. For me, there were several weeks when I was in a lot of pain because we took away the old misaligned support system and I hadn't yet fully built up my new support system. So my back just didn't have any support. So you might have to go through a rough patch for 2 or 3 weeks where you're just in more pain than when you started, but hopefully you can push through and find yourself on a better path afterwards. When you have hypermobility, understanding your body is a journey. The beginning can be a really rough road, but you'll have successes and you'll have setbacks. You just have to expect that. Basically, having hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos, is largely about learning to accept your body. It sounds very zen, but it's true. You need to accept your body as it is today and work with it today. It doesn't matter what was working yesterday. It doesn't matter what was working last week. Focus on today. You can also focus on setting yourself up for a good tomorrow. So I'm in pain every single day, but I'm not in pain all day. I'm going to say that again. I am in pain every single day, but I am not in pain all day. And I can control the amount of pain by setting myself up each day for a better day the next day. I can't expect a pain free day, but I can expect pain free hours. I focus on maximizing the number of hours I'm without pain. I achieve this goal by working with my physical therapist to better understand and learn tricks to manage my hypermobility. Another thing that we should talk about under expectations is the cost of managing hypermobility. Insurance will cover physical therapy if you have a prescription for physical therapy. To get a prescription for physical therapy, you need to go make an appointment with a doctor, go to see the doctor, have them write the prescription, and that's another cost. So, in addition to your physical therapy costs, you're paying to see the doctor to get the prescription to go to physical therapy if you're in the United States. Um, you'll always have hypermobility, but most of these prescriptions are only for 3 months. So the insurance will have you go back to your doctor again, pay to see your doctor, pay to get a prescription, and it's just this cycle. So if you have financial stability, there are some workarounds. I volunteered with a lady who has hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos, and she found a personal trainer. So this isn't a physical therapist, but a personal trainer who happened to have knowledge of hypermobility out of personal curiosity and their own understanding of body mechanics as a personal trainer. So no prescription was needed for her to go work with this personal trainer, and the price point was a lot more affordable for her. Another potential workaround to having to get a prescription is having before prehabilitation and maintenance sessions with an actual physical therapist. So these won't be covered by insurance. You'll be paying out of pocket in the United States, but also don't require a prescription. So you're focused on keeping your hypermobility body working properly. You're not fixing something. That's why it's prehabilitation, no prescription required. And you're able to kind of go forth with that if you have the financial ability to do that. Now, financially, physical therapy might not realistically be something you can sustain long term, but you need to think of it as an investment in your body. So I really recommend that you spend at least 6 months in physical therapy, learning about your body and its quirks and learning tips and tricks on how to maintain your body on your own. And then you might have to continue with some check-in appointments with your physical therapist a few times a year after that. But really, really think about it as investing in your future because it's going to be a lot cheaper to do some physical therapy now and get in the habit of doing those exercises than to have a major catastrophic injury later. So, what are the key takeaways of these two videos? A knowledgeable physical therapist is a key stepping stone on your road to a better relationship with your body. If costs allow, I recommend long term weekly or bi weekly sessions um, because your physical therapist is able to observe your body, analyze how your body is functioning, and how you're using your muscles, and that'll change over time. And they can teach you techniques tailored to your needs and your evolving needs for managing your hypermobility. Like anything in life, the cost could throw a challenge your way. We kind of already covered that. So focus on learning how to stabilize your body and understanding the quirks it's prone to. And in future videos, we'll go through some exercises and modifications I do that help with my hypermobile body. Remember, this is a long journey. You've got to balance the investments, but it's well worth it. So the last thing I want to leave you with is I want to plant a little seed of change. Like it shouldn't be a challenge to have access to physical therapy when you have a chronic condition that needs to be treated with physical therapy. You shouldn't have to go through this weird cycle of going to the doctor, getting a prescription every 3 months. So I think that it's our responsibility as members of the community. We need to think of ways to change laws and policies to better our situation and advocate for ourselves. So I don't have the solution. I don't know the answers, but I really hope you leave a comment with any suggestions or thoughts you have on how we can advocate for ourselves in the future, what policies needs to be changed, what laws, how do we go about this, and how do we advocate for ourselves. So a little bit of a push for some call to action there, but I hope that you enjoyed this and thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.